Dear Year 6, as I told you, we are working today on the history of English language and how English language has improved recently from 1,000 years ago. We are going to start our session with the video. Make sure, please, that you have your headphones or you have your speakers on so you can hear well. You can take notes using your papers, sticky notes, or anything. Make sure you have notes of the information given, of the years, of the ages that you're going to watch and see. Highlight the times and the years. It's really important that you compare the information on the video with the information divided or derived into your learner's book. So absolute 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Make sure you listen carefully. If you had a time machine, how far back could you go and still understand English? In the 19th and 18th centuries, you'd probably still be okay. This is from the book Robinson Crusoe in 1719. Poor miserable Robinson Crusoe came on shore on this dismal, unfortunate island, which I called the Island of Despair.
Far back could you go and still understand? If you had a time machine, how far back could you go and still understand English? In the 19th and 18th centuries, you'd probably still be okay. This is from the book Robinson Crusoe in 1719.
I, poor miserable Robinson Crusoe, came on shore on this dismal, unfortunate island, which I called the Island of Despair.
The 1600s is the time of Shakespeare.
Thy natural magic and dire property, unwholesome life, usurp immediately.
Harder to follow, but not everyone speaks like that. You would hear plenty of words you didn't understand, though. The bigger problem for you now is the pronunciation. The sound of the vowels has changed, and the accent is becoming much harder to understand. For example, T is pronounced Tay, and gone is pronounced gone. In the 1500s, people essentially speak like the Bible.
Now therefore, thus saith the Lord, Thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die.
There are also hundreds of words that didn't mean a thing to you. Before about 1400, you'd hear Middle English, and you would hardly understand anything, written or spoken.
Juan dat April with his sure sota, the drocht of March had perset to the rot, and bathed every lane and switchly core of which were to engender his the floor.
If you went all the way back to 1000 AD, you'd hear Old English.
Fader ore, thuthe ardon heavenum, sie fin nama je halgud, tobe kume fin riche, je wurde fin willo, on erdon swa on heavenum.
Good luck explaining that you need 1.21 gigawatts to get home.
So, dears, this is part of the English, the Old English language, the one that you have never been exposed to, you have never had a look at or listened to before. And this development happened in 1,000 years, in the matter of 1,000 years. Now, as you listen to the video, I'm sure that you have found that it was derived and divided into ages, old age and middle age and so on. I hope that you have taken some notes so you compare it to the actual information we are going to have here. I would appreciate if you go to your learner's book, page 108. How language has changed over time. The poems Silver and The Listeners were written over 100 years ago. 100 years ago, Both use words and expressions that we no longer use today. For example, the word shoon. If you remember, shoon means shoes. The verb spake, which means spoke, which is the past conjugation of the verb speak. Down you are going to watch 4 examples of 4 ages of development and improving of the English language. Here are 4 examples from literature which show how the English language has developed and changed over time. Example 1 is in the Middle English. Middle English. That's from 1100 AD, 1500 AD. In the 15th century, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote a poem called The Canterbury Tales. This poem was about travelers who told one another stories on a journey to Canterbury. I wouldn't read, I will let you try and read in few seconds. The original language was written and used, and how you could read it now. So take few moments, think and read. If you compare the language here, if you read or if you try to read, those who are specifically have their third language or their second language, I'm sorry, as German, will really read it well. Because originally the English language is derived, English and French and Italian, they are all divided from a main mother language in the old ages, even before the Middle English age. The old language was called the Germanic language. Germanic language was the older version of such language that you have now in this box. The Germanic language was the language that you started, that we ended the video with, the one that no one could understand anything from. That was the Germanic language. So Germanic language after development was divided into 3 other or 4 other languages, like the German, Deutsch, the German, yes, the French, the Italian, and the English. So that's why you will find lots of shared words between all of them. So if you try to read this part well, people who really study German will be able to read it perfectly. So let me try and see it with you. When that the Knight. Knight can be pronounced here in 2 words. Knight or Knight. G. Had thus his tail yetooled. In all the road, nas their young ni old. That he ni sayde, it was a noble story, and worthy for to draw into memory. Those who study German will say that the way I'm reading it somehow goes with the German one. Who's studying German? So this is the part of the Middle English for the year 1100. Now, let's go line by line and see what does every line mean in our mean language, meantime language. One, that the knight had thus his tale yetooled. When the knight had told his tale. Wow. Completely different. Completely simplified. And all the road nas their young ni old. Everyone on their journey, young or old. So young ni old means young or old, the normal one. In all the route, nas, I guess, means everyone. So this is even taken from Arabic language. Can you imagine this? So nas is taken, as I say, from everyone. So this is somehow Arabic English. So actually we have multiple languages that are served into this text. We have the German, we have the French, we have the Italian, we have even Arabic integrated within the text. Let's go to the third line. That he ni sayde, it was a noble story. Said it was a good story. So story is differentiated by adding IE instead of Y. Said in the old language was sayde. Ni sayde, what is ni? To be honest, it's hard to discuss it or hard to find it, but based on the fact of the language here, hini, I guess it means it. Final one, and worthy for to draw into memory. To memory is to remember in our meantime language. This is the old English or the middle English time. We will move to sample or example number 2, the early modern language, 1500s to 1700s. I'll leave you here for a couple of seconds as well. Read, try to understand the original and the meantime language. In the 16th and early 17th century, William Shakespeare wrote many plays. One well-known play is The Tempest, which is set on a desert island. In this extract, a spirit called Ariel is talking to his master Prospero. From the early modern English, we start to have the language turning to look like Italian language, more Italian, more than German. So I prefer, the pronunciation of the word itself looks more Italian. I prefer means listen. Remember, I have done the worthy service. The equals you in our modern language. The means you. Okay? So I've done the worthy service. So I have done you worthy service. Told thee no lies. Didn't tell you any lies. Made thee no mistakings. I made no mistakes. And served without or grudge or grumblings. No complaints. So completely the language changed from the middle to the early modern one. You still can understand. Even if you remove the word the, you still can understand the language. Now, we will move to the modern English one, which is 1700 to 1950. By the way, we still have 9 minutes for this session. So let's read carefully. Gulliver's Travels was a novel written by Jonathan Swift in the 18th century. Gulliver has been shipwrecked. Shipwrecked means that his ship got broken and ended up stranded on a beach. When he comes round, he finds himself tied to the ground with something very strange happening. What is this strange happening? Let's read the text and see if language is easy or not. In a little time, I felt something alive moving on my left leg, which advancing gently forward over my breast, came almost up to my chin. When bending my eyes downwards as much as I could, I perceived it be a human creature, not 6 inches high. So the original language itself is understandable. We easily understand it. It's not that difficult. However, if you would say it the way you say it now, it would be gradually, I felt something gently moving over my chest and coming up to my chin. When I looked down, I saw it was a human creature no bigger than 6 inches. But in your opinion, which language or which extract would be better here in this context? The original language or the one we would say today? In your opinion, which one would be better? I go more with the idea of saying the original. Yes, why the original? If you check, the original has more descriptive language and has more vivid descriptions. The new one, usually new and modern language and new ages, go and tend more to shortcut, to make things shorter and easier. However, not every time shorter and easier would be better for you, especially when it comes to a storytelling. Storytelling needs you to really go over into details and more descriptive languages. So here, in this context, I would go more and I will agree more to the original text. Moving to the fourth type, which is the last type before we go to the examples or the exercises. Modern English of today, which is from 1950s to the present day. Here is an extract from the well-known children's book, The BFG by Roald Dahl. This was written in 1982, so it's very modern. She reached out for her glasses that lay on the chair beside her bed. They had steel brims and very thick lenses, and she could hardly see a thing without them. She put them on, then slipped out of bed and tiptoed over the window. Now here, I guess there is no that much difference from the modern English today and the modern English till 1950. Actually, most of the words are nearly the same. Yes, there are some words that are rarely used right now, but still, you can understand the normal language. Now, the original language in the early language or the modern English has more descriptives. The second one, the modern English today, still have more description. So that's the way you should use and you should write a poem or you should write a story with. Within the book, you will have nearly 2 pages coming forward that will discuss many exercises on how to understand and form sentences with all the ages of English, the modern, the ancient, the middle, and so on. So please follow the book and try to answer the exercises. Thank you for your active listening for this session. That was really interesting, but the coming is more interesting.